Tippy tie my damies, Top Cat here, and welcome back to the channel. I've finally gotten around to making our Necromancer build. Of course, we're using the Necrotic Grip Warlock Gauntlets. Their armor perk, Grasp of the Devourer, damaging combatants envelops them with a poison that deals increasing damage over time. Defeating a poison combatant spreads the condition to nearby combatants. When you can see from the gameplay how big an AoE effect this is, and essentially this is free damage you're getting. You know, it does a really good initial impact, spreads out, burns everything, and it's just a looping system that just envelops everything. It's great in everything from easy content and works great in GMs, raids. Very, very strong gauntlets. And on top of that, not only does it work with our charge melees, it also works with our uncharged melee, so we can just slap things and get the same effect. It also works in response to our Weapons of Sorrow. With the launch of Witch Queen, Bungie gave us a new exotic SMG called the Osteo Striga. Its intrinsic trait, Screaming Swarm, fires a swarm of sentient toxic projectiles that track target enemies. At level 30 you get the Striga Catalyst, and the poison final blows are going to return ammo to your magazine. And the trait, Toxic Overload, landing final blows and multiple precision hits triggers a burst of poison to nearby targets. So with this, you're going to be getting constant explosions upon kills and precision hits. It's also going to overflow the mag, and that's one of the great things about this catalyst. You can get as much as 108 bullets in a magazine, which allows you just to wipe out complete waves of adds without ever having to worry about reloading. And they're just all burning down from the poison ticks. It's just phenomenal. Now we also have the OG Weapons of Sorrow, the Thorn. Its intrinsic trait, Mark of the Devourer, rounds pierce targets and deal damage over time. Kills with this weapon leave behind remnants. When you pick up the remnant, Soul Devourer procs, and this is allow you to refill your magazine and get a damage bonus. Now these are both great weapon options. I tend to prefer the SMG for PvE content, but that's only on practicality. I actually have a love for Thorn that I think it's a more fun weapon. I just don't think that it's as good as you're always floating in the sky and you have to dive down to pick up the remnants. But I enjoy it, so that's what we're going to be doing, as I do believe it is actually the stronger way to play it if you like aerial gameplay. We're running the Celestial Fire for this reason over the new melee, as I find it's more direct and has better range using aerial gameplay. To stay in the air, we're going to be using the Heat Riser's Solar Aspect, as this allows us to chuck melees and grenades and to shoot our guns whilst gliding. We hold our grenade button to consume our grenade. That's going to give us our Heat Risers. And final blows when we're in the sky are going to extend the Heat Riser's duration. It goes all the way out to 30 seconds. And pretty much every time we get a melee kill, it's going to refund our melee energy if you get 1 to 2 kills. You know, so much like a hunter, you've got an awful lot of melees as long as you're up in the sky. And this is a lot of the build, because essentially this is a melee build. We're chucking out poison and flames, 2 for 1, a lot of damage at your fingertips, quite literally. Now you might not be completely on board with floating up in the sky, but trust me, these gauntlets actually give you increased in-air accuracy and essentially airborne effectiveness with Weapons of Sorrow. Our other aspect we're using is Icarus Dash. This is going to give us another dodge when we're in Heat Rises. Being that you're in the sky, we have 2 ways to heal ourselves. When we get multi-kills in the sky, we get Cure. This is an instant heal. And we also have our Phoenix Dive. When we dive down using our class ability button, that's going to instantly heal us. Okay, so don't be worried about being in the sky. We've got 2 ways to heal ourselves. You've got the double dash, so you can maneuver around objects to get those kills. Very, very versatile. And the Phoenix Dive is great. You know, if you get some kills with your Thorn, you want to go get that soul down there, you just dash into it, dive, you know. Trust me, you need to give this a go, but you will need to practice this. A lot of Bungie players I see just have their feet on the ground when they're playing their solar warlocks. It's not the way it was designed by Bungie, and if you learn to play in the sky, you will truly unlock some massive potential. I've opted to use the Firebolt grenade, as the name dictates. You chuck it out and it splits up in different directions, chucking bolts of fire at people. This is great as it is an AoE effect, and this is an AoE build. Our Thorn does damage, Solar does damage, and everything's just going to tick things down. It's also great that it does apply Scorch to things. As you'll see later, Scorch builds into a regeneration. It's also got a really good cooldown, so it's going to give us heat rises more readily to us. Also, you can be a little more lazy with it compared to other grenades, and it's just going to find the targets for you. For our fragments, we're going to use Ember of Ashes. You apply more Scorch attacks to targets. Ember of Singeing. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. Ember of Searing. Defeating scorch targets grants melee energy. Okay, so when we chuck out our grenade or our melees, it's going to be applying Scorch, and this is going to be refunding our class ability that we use to dive down, and refund our melee ability that we use to shoot things in the sky. So this helps into our regeneration factor. We're also using Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against the combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. What's good about this build is having options as well. I mean, the striga is great for overload champs this season. You know, very strong weapon in in-game content. But then on the other side of that, we also have hand cannons, which often make it into the artifact as well. So it really doesn't matter which season it is, we're going to have some options when it comes to in-game content. For my special weapon, I like GLs personally. They're great in the sky. Things like auto-loading Disruption Break on this explosive personality really do work. The Disruption Break really helps along our weapons of sorrow, just in terms of that tick damage. It makes them a little bit stronger, particularly when it comes to yellow bars, just being able to lay the trigger into them, melt them down, and say ta-ta to them. There is plenty of good options to pick from, whether it's this one, the one from Bow Raid, blinding grenades. Yeah, take your pick, and they come in pretty much all elements. So very good weapon when you're floating up in the sky. I would try to go with something that has either auto-loading holster or ambitious assassin though, just to help with that reload. When it comes to the super, I'm using well. I tend to prefer this as I want to have something that I can lay into damage, as I'm primarily AoE, but when it comes to the thick stuff, I want to be able to get in there and do some damage. So I use well personally. It's not only great for myself, it's great for the team, and also it just allows me to lay in there, get up close and personal, stop being a wimp in the sky, get down to reality, and do some damage. Great cooldown, and I think in PvE it is a superior super. Really doesn't matter what sword you want to use. Of late I've been using the Zephyr, has Cold Steel, great perk, free additional damage, but it really doesn't matter what you want. In terms of mods, we are using Melee Wellmaker. I've tried not to put seasonal mods on this, so I've just gone with solar resistance, as a lot of the snipers in this game use solar beams, and that's another reason why I've gone with sniper damage resistance. On our bond, we're using Seeking Wells, and we're going to be using double outreach, reduces melee cooldown when using our class ability, or our Phoenix Type in this case. Focusing Strike is going to grant us class ability when doing damage with melee. Elemental Charge is going to grab those wells from our Seeking Wells, charge us up, ×2. If we get 2 wells, this is going to stack us up to 4 times Charge of Light. We're using Ammo Finder for our sword, and Heavy Handed, which is going to give us additional melee energy when we use melees. So we really just have infinite melees with this build. Stacking up heaps of Charge of Light. Any orbs lying around are also going to give us melee energy, so heaps of melee potential, and that's what this build's about, as pretty much we're chucking poison around thanks to our melees. So the more melee energy we have, the more poison we can chuck around. But really a lot of this build isn't just chucking on the gauntlets and a Thorn, it's how the fragments align, because that actually dictates how you use this build. So honestly, try the fragments, try the aspects the way they are. It is a bit of a learning curve, but trust me, if you get it going, it will really reward your gameplay. Anyway, that's all for today, guys. If you liked, please hit that like. If you're new and you really liked, please hit that sub. Chuck a comment down below if you've got any questions or suggestions. Until next time, tippy tie my damies, what a tie.
He's the most tip-top